Okay, so I don't think I've gone live on here before, but wanted to try it out and see how this would go. So this is me live. So I guess on the topic of photography, earlier today, well, you go back a little bit. I've been out to New York late last year to get some video and photo footage and started putting together a marketing video and such forth for some college curriculum that's going to happen at Manhattan University, and it's really focused on interval ecology. And um, there was mostly the professors and one of the directors of the organization that's kind of sponsoring it and that kind of thing. And then just this past week or 2 week ago, whatever, I was in New Orleans to get more for that. I had put together what we had, but it was decided we could get a few more people to contribute, and went out and met with the director of the organization that's sponsoring this, and also another person who's not directly connected to the organization who is sponsoring this or doing the curriculum, but uh, does work with them occasionally and works specifically in the areas that this curriculum is focused on, integral ecology. And got to talk to her. And what we decided to do, since we were out there, was go visit the area in the lower Ninth Ward where the levee wall initially broke, where the barge hit the wall and broke, and water busted through. And where you're standing, it's there's a levee wall, there's a little grass slope, there's a road, and then there's homes. And it just we then went, so after I spoke to her, got all the info from her, then we went over to the museum that is the commemoration of that in 2005. It's all the historical record and imagery and everything. But I was thinking, as I was standing there, and now as I'm going through the materials, and somebody brought this up earlier today, which got me thinking about it again, was thinking as I was standing there that you expect to go there and see the devastation, something. But really, the levee wall is fine. I mean, it's been repaired and patched, and you would never know that anything happened there. The ground, think of the volume of water that had to come through that wall. The grass slope in front of it looks fine. There's a sidewalk up by the levee wall, and there's grass, slope, and grass, and there's a road, and there's this spot where we were standing in front. So there's this placard. Across the street from the placard are the homes, and there's no homes, right? There's like 4 missing homes. At the time, you don't think of them as missing. There's a home, there's 4 empty lots, and then there's a home. But she made the point of saying while we were standing there, there were 4 homes there. There was nothing. There was no visible clue that there had been homes there before. Now, obviously, a lot of homes were washed away, but you're standing there and there's just this path, and you think, oh, well, they just hadn't built homes here. No, that's where the water went, and there's nothing, and it looks fine. It doesn't look like the earth was washed away. The homes are just gone, and these are homes that have been passed down from generation to generation to generation to generation to generation. And I got to thinking about, as I'm standing there recording and taking photos, and we all walk around with these, and we think, oh, we'll have images of ourselves and our kids and our family and events. How often do we go and how often do we look at them? I mean, we take so many, and to me, I say that these are archiving. This is an archive. This is a bottomless pit archive, and really, where all these are going, they're being analyzed by AI, and to help with facial recognition, and artificial intelligence and search, and that's really that's really who's using them. We use these for a while and we throw them out, and every once in a while, Facebook reminds us of one. But when I think of documentary photography, it's not just it's taking the images that convey the story, and then somehow putting those images somewhere in some form that they will convey that story, that message, that story, that history to future generations. It used to be the shoebox. And people think, well, this is my shoebox now. It's not. You don't. 20 years from now, people will not be sitting. How many of you, someone has died and you have their phone and you either throw it out or maybe you get access to it, you take the pictures and you archive them off? Are you really printing them? Are you hanging them in your home? Are you printing them and putting them in a shoebox? Are you going to put this in a drawer somewhere? It's probably not going to turn on in 20 years from now. So are we really documenting history for the future generations, or are we just archiving this stuff off for big tech companies to use as they so choose? I talk about, getting the photos to commemorate the moment, and I talk about the happy part, the smiles, and yes, the smile, but the smile, okay, the emotion of the moment, what was going on, and a lot of times the photographer, I'm not causing those smiles. I'm using a 450 millimeter lens, taking a picture of someone smiling because someone else caused them to smile. I am recording that moment. If I then don't share it back with them, what was the point of taking the photo? On a grander scheme, as I was standing there, I was thinking, if I took James with me to this spot and stood here, would it occur to him that that's where we were standing if there weren't a plaque? Because he's young enough that it's just, I don't think about it. So would he? It didn't really, even though I was standing there for that reason, it wasn't really hitting me until she explained this wiped out path there were homes there. If we don't take the information that we dump in here and somehow make it, display it, print it, the only thing that has survived the eons, and this is a whole other conversation, is printed material. That's it. Printed photographs, printed writings, whether they're etched in stone or they're written on lambskin or they're written on paper. I have books in my library from 300 years ago, 400 years ago, 300 years ago. I mean, hand, that old wouldn't be manuscripts. They've survived. Will anybody care if this survived to go through it? Will anybody look? Will anybody remember? Or are we putting it all in there and just losing it? Are we no longer documenting our history for future generations? Are we just documenting it for ourselves for right now? And once it's lost, is it lost? File format, phone access, cloud account, whatever. Is it just gone? Anyway, I'm rambling. I wanted to see if this would work. But that, to me, that's what photography should do. Maybe that's why I like film photography. I mean, obviously I shoot 90% digital, but film photography, and I think maybe the big resurgence in film photography is that tangible component. Maybe it's good to have that shoebox of photographs that we all have from when we grew up, that we cringe about when, mom or grandma takes out and wants to go through the little, the little tushy on the bearskin rug or whatever. But you know what? Those photos that I have in my library of my great-grandparents and my great-aunts and uncles and, them back in Italy and when they came over and their families, and I look at those occasionally. I never go through their phone bill. But I still look at those pictures. I still go back to those. So anyway, that was my bit. So I don't know if this worked. Hopefully it worked. So, all right. Pino out.